Already had breakfast this morning. Already starting to get some stuff laid out, and the parts are all here. We've got all the tools. We've got Jess here from Nifty Hoops and Jeff, and we've got our area here staged for building the hoops, and then we're gonna walk them right down over and we're gonna put them where they go.
Everybody come on in. We have our little
Safety briefing.
that kind of thing. One COVID apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody's finger, like and they did in gym class. Everybody's fingertips apart.
What's a cubit from your end of your fingers to your elbow?
That was a cute.
This is a COVID.
I swear, like, you know, that all those things had to do with the pandemic they had at that time, right? You know, so a foot. That was not a very powerful virus. You could stay 1 foot away from them during the foot virus. So speaking of which, I mean, that's something, you know, it's interesting times, and a lot of the things I'm going to talk about safety are about comfort. So if people have some kind of issue with this COVID concern, and, you know, just the basic idea is don't do anything in any of these safety concerns that doesn't feel comfortable to you. So we're outside. We're in a county that's had, you know, very little transmission lately. We have thought through all kinds of ways to try to do things different. Everybody have their own tools through the day, that kind of thing, and it's been hard to figure out how to build a hoop house with the most strictest concerns. So if we're up real close with people, you know, you can pull a mask on if you need to. If you just don't want to do those things, that's the main thing. Don't do anything you don't want to do today. And then that just translates into everything else. Like there's a little bit of ladder work, things like that. I like to talk about how this is a day that either you feel like you're just up for it, some new thing, using a tool you haven't used before, and you want to learn it, you want to lean into it, or it's a day you're just kind of like, not me, somebody else can do it. So you just have all that autonomy. We're going to get a hoop house built no matter what. We've got a diversity of skills and you know, people up for whatever these tasks are. So if anything's unfamiliar, ask. We've got a lot of people here that have a lot of expertise on how to use a driver, a drill, that kind of thing. Mainly though, like, look after yourself. Like nobody's going to tend to your experience, you know, better than you today. So you know, you just keep that in mind. You have the final authority on anything you want to do. Secondly, let's look after each other. If you see somebody doing something that doesn't look safe, you know, then we can step in and say, hey, maybe there's a better way to do it, or let's stop and ask Jeff, or that kind of thing. The safety concerns, you know, this is probably number one today. We've got a really safe kit here. We don't tend to have people get hurt. If they do, it's usually just a little scrape off a sharp part on a steel or something. But the sun's always up there, so, you know, sun protection. I'm going to leave this over where the water is. Got some SPF 50. I noticed that you've got the water jugs out there.
Yep.
That kind of stuff's really the biggest concern I have when people show up at my site, is they're gonna, you know, keep some water in them, make sure they're protected from the sun. I see a lot of red people at the end of a day,
and we've got tents that we're going to put up, like easy up tents and some chairs too.
Excellent, so. Excellent. Forgot to bring my big wide brim hat out today, but I've toasted up pretty good for the year myself right now. I tend to do pretty good at this time of year. The other thing that I'm concerned with is people are going to twist an ankle. You know, this is pretty smooth and pretty nice site compared to what we often get into, but whether there's just something a little uneven, or you assume that because you walk forward there's nothing here behind you and somebody's moved something in there and you're going to trip over something. Coming down off a ladder, maybe that last step to the ground, that's a place sometimes people twist an ankle. Other than that, we really don't have a lot to get hurt. We have all of this prefabricated in a way we're mostly putting nuts and bolts in things and standing them up. So there's a couple of cuts. We're mostly going to do those. We're, you know, very, very little that's like measure mark cut like a normal construction site. This is much more like an erector set we're putting together here today. Any other, you know, specific concerns people have? All right, that's it. We're going to jump right into it. Jess is going to work with some people to put these bows together. This is one of the main things we do to start with, is assemble these bows that are all going to stand up, the ribs that are down there. We're building a whale today, so the whale's got ribs. They're all built on the ground, and then the rest of us are going to kind of move into some things about putting those posts in the ground, Keith. So you'll be with me out there, man. That's the basic way we start up.
Sounds
Everybody
good.
ready to go?
Absolutely.
Hip hip hooray! Something. Come on, get that coffee working.
Rah rah.
From a 5/16, so if this will go through, then the bolt should go through easily. So what did I do? I just put a part on there at that joint. Two people do what's pretty obvious over there on either side of me. Put a bolt up through the bottom there. There's one. Oop, you got even a... Yep, so bolt comes up from the bottom. Finger tight nut.
Johnny works
And
too fast.
that's putting a cross brace together. You don't have a nut? We're gonna get a couple more pieces of cardboard like that and just spread that stuff out so it's super nice and easy. Now the people who are doing this are mostly gonna work on the back side of it so that you're not in the way when I go in here to drag this up. So everybody else is gonna clear out here for a second. And the person who moves these, the easiest way, we've got a black stripe here. That's the center of the house. That's pretty much where the center of the weight is. And I'm gonna just pick it up at that black stripe and kind of, you saw I tipped it up like this. Walk it up to here, make a pile. That should take you guys about 10 minutes to put all those cross braces together. The only other thing I didn't tell you is that these holes are here for a reason, so they're going to always be pointing up. You have to really work to turn these around, but some people just seem to manage to do that still. But they're all pointed up now. Keep them pointed up. That's going to be for where we attach a side purlin that connects them together. And make sure you keep those tabs turned up. And that's pretty much it for cross braces. Jess is going to show you how to put a bow together with the cross braces. I'm going to move to layout.
Josh, make sure that you got the, yep, I think you do. I think your tabs are good.
Hi.
Hi.
Guess I'm showing everybody?
I guess so. You're it.
All right. Well, this is going to be fun. So we just attach these parts.
That's how it's supposed to go, right?
Yeah, we're just going to deal with that later.
Yeah, I've got a rubber
And then
mallet or something.
Yeah, still from the bottom. The ball goes on the bottom still. Attach the middle brace. And then in the beginning we just hand tighten, and then one person will tighten them all at the end. And there's 9, so try to count whoever's tightening them, because if they're not tightened all the way, it's a safety thing.
Yeah.
Somebody has to stand on these cross braces to do the top purlin. And then we're gonna attach this one in.
Can you push those back?
Yeah, that cross brace. Yeah, thank you. Give it a little jig, a little help.
Yep.
Get it in there. And then we work from the outside. And there will be somebody on both ends, so somebody can do that side, somebody can do this side.
Okay.
But pretty much you just see.
Yeah, if you grab the black stripe, it'd be just a little easier to wrestle. See where that black stripe is, get your body on the side. Yeah, just
if the hole doesn't match up, you just kind of gotta either lift this end
Okay.
or not to get that hole to match up, but it's pretty even ground, so it looks like you just gotta lift this way, which is way better.
And these ones come through from the top?
From the top,
Okay.
yep. The bottom and then the top, yeah.
You just want
It's
to keep
okay.
the smooth part on the top because you don't want the plastic ripping.
Exactly. Nope, I know exactly what I did. So this is gonna have to go on the opposite side. I always do that.
And that's for all of them. We'll come on this
Yes,
side. Okay.
yep. Just attach it, hand tighten it. Same for that left side. And then you take this middle brace, the side brace, side purlin. From the bottom. Can't get it through, you just gotta clean it out with the drill bit. It happens.
everything else.
The same
Yeah.
for this side.
Okay.
Halfway into the ground.
Okay.
And then I'm assessing as we go, feeling like how, you know, I'm used to Washtenaw County clay.
Yeah.
Being pretty sticky down there and being
Yeah.
really solid.
Right.
But we've got these orange top posts that we can add an anchor to. We've got 1,000-pound pull-out strength toggle bolts that we can stick in the ground basically. And then a way that we lock them in through this. That's the only thing that's different about these orange ones. We've got this hole to lock them in.
Okay.
We can drive a rebar through there to lock an anchor into it.
Okay.
But like I say, won't necessarily recommend that, but they're cheap insurance.
Yeah.
At about 40 bucks a pop, 4 corners. Sometimes I'm telling people like, that's cheap insurance, you know, so we'll talk about that as we go along.
Sounds good. Can I help carry something?
Oh, let's just get over to this one corner and
Let's get it
see if
started.
we can, you know, we get 2 points in and that pretty much defines all the variables.
Right. How long has Jess been with you?
A little more than a year.
Okay.
So the tools we use for setting these posts, we've got a post pounder.
Right. Yeah.
Runs on gas. We're going to get out to do the heavy lifting.
Yep.
But
So it's just a matter
for
of getting them started.
layout, we want to use post level. That's a way to really easily get the 2 directions.
Yep.
And even if the house is sloping, we're going to put everything in perpendicular out of the ground. So in your case, we're going to have something that's kind of a little bit like this as it gets built.
Right.
But it's kind of hard to figure out which side of that bubble to use.
Right.
The laser's great for tipping that.
Right.
But we were talking about staying inside this post, making sure we got the 30 foot. I mean, does that look like a good candidate right about in there?
Yeah.
Let's see if, make sure we get something we like coming across there, the 30 foot. So what I do, I work with a whole lot of clamps and tapes in
Yep.
this job. It makes it a lot easier than trying to pull the tapes back and forth. So we've got tapes for every dimension we need.
Color coded as well, I assume.
Well, that's orange for my trailer.
Okay.
My trailer's called Carrot.
Ah.
And I like to keep my stuff. So,
Yeah. You don't want to.
so orange is my carrot color.
There you go.
It's like, that's a mine color coding. There is color coding for other stuff too, for sure, like just the sizes and things to make it easy for people to kind of get. So I'm gonna have a tape that goes 30 feet across the end. This one's gonna run 72 feet in your case.
Yep.
Down the side.
And
We'll go ahead.
You can build them pretty much any length that people want, right?
Yeah, we've never gone over 192 feet yet.
Okay.
Because it's kind of hard to find a flat spot
That's that long?
that long, and there might be reasons that you don't want to go longer for, like, the louvers still kind of working, the ventilation on the end walls. But in general, yeah, that's a big hoop, and we've built multiples of those for people.
Okay.
But they do get less expensive per square foot the bigger you make them.
Right.
But then there's kind of nice reasons to have multiple structures as well to do different things in and
Yeah,
stuff too.
absolutely.
So anyway, I got my diagonal on there as well. So I'll go ahead and start pulling these out.
Okay.
Get the tapes rolling.
Want me to pull this one out as well?
Yeah, you pull out the 30.
Yeah. 27, 30. The 30's right here. That looks like it'll work. Completed. Ribs right there. Assembly line here. Working on layout right here. We've got our location, first corner set. Looking good.
So here we're just figuring out What are we squaring up to here? We could just visually go off this edge.
Yeah.
I got 10 feet off the fence line.
Okay.
Or 10 of my steps.
Okay.
Off of that fence you're talking about?
No, he's just saying from there if we want to square it up off of the.
So
Oh, is that what you
grass
had
line.
down there?
fence line is right here.
Yeah, so you
And it doesn't matter to
you
me.
show me then.
So
And I'll just put it wherever you.
I got one more. That's what I got to square.
Looks good to me.
Looks good by
Put it in
me.
there. Put that foot in there. That's the one. All right, and then we're back right up there.
I got the post.
Cool. So, you know, a little bit about what I'll talk about on this is just kind of tips for anybody building a hoop house anywhere.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff translates from Nifty Hoops to just anything we do. Some of the stuff's kind of specific to how we do it.
Right.
But in general, you're going to want to do everything on center dimensions.
Yeah.
So in this case, we're building a 30 by 72. It'll be on center. So the,
Yeah.
you know, it'll be half a post bigger in each direction, right? When we're done. And we're clamping our tapes all the time on in such a way that we're not putting it on the center. We could try to figure out how to get this thing on that center and clamp it on that center.
Right.
But in general, it's much easier to just hook it on the edge of the post.
Yep.
And it's easier to see a line on the edge of the post as well. So what I'm doing, and you can see it right here, everything I do is on the big side.
Yep.
Because we clamped from 0 forward on that end, we're going to get from 72 forward as well.
Okay.
So as we start to set these posts down here, every one of them, let's say we're at 68 feet,
Yep. It's
we're going to be from that to a bigger number.
Got it.
It's on the big side or running. You know, we're
Yeah.
running each time to the bigger number. So let's see, we'll go ahead and just pop that one in. I don't even need this if I got a holder. That's a luxury for me. I don't usually have a post holder handy. I'll give them a couple taps. Yeah, we go through these things even, if you can believe it. Oh yeah. I'm not setting the final height on these yet,
Right.
but I'm getting them in there firm enough I can kind of trust them to get a tape on them.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to pull the other diagonal. Got all my stuff with me here.
So we're just pulling the other diagonal, making sure we're square, right?
Yeah, it's the one redundancy that we put in. You could do it all off of just one diagonal, but it's kind of nice to know the coffee kicked in, so to speak, you
Yeah.
know, and that everything confirms.
Yeah.
So that's the one point where...
It's interesting watching the pipe go down faster than the pipe level because of the way it's hit. You know, it's like
it's sliding
yeah,
up.
it's sliding up.
Yeah. And then I'm going to put the other end on over here.
Yep.
So then I take these ones with me, and again we're taking everything that goes to this next corner. There's our 30. We'll get a post ready to go.
You got 32 or 30?
30.
30. I heard you say on your other video 32 by 70,
Yeah,
and I
it's
was like, I hope he knows
yeah,
he's getting
yeah.
a 30 by 72. It's often things people mix up at first.
Yep.
So there's my 30, and I'm going to be on the big side again.
Yep.
I got 7, 10.
Yeah, you're going to end up with 78. It's a magic triangle. Like everybody knows the 3, 4, 5.
Oh yeah.
If you build hoop houses every day, you learn that
You learned that magic
there's
triangle?
a 30, 72, 78 magic triangle
There
too.
you go.
Just perfect for what we do. So I got to find the place where
78
my
and
30 and my
8.
78, both big, are going to meet here. And I pull these tapes just snug, you know, they're
Yeah.
cloth tapes.
You're not stretching.
They
them,
work
you're just
pretty
pulling them.
good.
Yeah.
We're not building furniture
Correct.
here today. The diagonals, I'll let be the one thing that's slightly off. I want to try to keep my my 30 and my 72 super tight and
Okay.
get it just set enough to not fall over. As we set posts, that's about all I'm going to have you guys doing when you set them too. You don't have to do any
Just
driving.
Yeah.
There's two things about that. One, the less you put them in, the more I get to kind of steer them where I think, if my eye's still a little
Yeah,
different
yeah.
than yours. and it's just like you can move real fast if you're not having to do a lot of work. This guy does all the work.
Yeah.
Can you pull that cap out of the top of that one for me? Thanks. Oh, I heard you about to die there, didn't I? Come on. Really? You still want a little choke this morning? Oh, it's too much choke. That's what it is. Somehow they got bumped up. There we go. Oh, there's a rock. Yeah, there's a rock. You're supposed to remove all the rocks before I got here, buddy.
Rock's the one thing we have.
Yeah. We can usually wrestle around them and still land in the right place. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, we got one more tape we're going to pull down this side.
Now, if you guys are just installing it yourself, not a community build, how big is your crew that you're bringing along?
4 or 5 people could build one of these in a day.
And just like that, we've got our corners set.
We got 4 corners. I'm going to go get some stakes that I put on here, and then I'm going to set the intermediates to kind of make sure I'm going to put a string on this that we're going to lay out off. All right, so there's a pin and a level here someplace and a sledgehammer. We'll go out and set an intermediate just to kind of guarantee the string's in good shape as we work with it. If we had more wind, that would be another good reason to be trying to secure the string. And then this is kind of the same things I'm going to have you guys do if you set some posts for me. I usually put the level on first. Makes it easier than going over the pin. I always put my bubbles up. Easier to see. Every one of these we're setting on the outside of the string. That half-inch 9/16 finger width away. I'm on the small side of 36. I need to be on the big side every time. And I'll try to kind of get that down far enough that I can look through those bubbles at my other dimensions. First couple taps, I don't worry if I'm really great because it might be hitting a rock or something and sliding around. So now I look at my bubbles and I see like, wow, I think I'm just spot on that 36. It's right on that edge, but I'm more like an inch away from that string. So I can start to steer them. So you saw what I did. I pointed it away so I'm steering the bottom back into the line. And I'm going to want you guys to, take whatever time you need to get pretty accurate on it. I think I'm still a tiny bit big. We'll talk about a 1/4 inch tolerance.
Touching, but you're supposed to be that finger off.
That finger off, yep. And I was a thumb off instead of a finger off, let's say, just last time. Now my bubbles are on. I'm going to drive this one in more than you need to because I'm going to set this one as a reference point. But you're only going to have to tap it a couple of times to, if it stands up, it's there till I come along, it's good enough.
And that you're going to drive, we're going to set.
We're just getting them started, and then he's going to
unless you guys want to graduate to setter today.
So I don't need the additional compensation.
The problem is that I tend to be the thing that will slow things down if I don't really hustle on getting these in. So we're having some fun explaining it, but and getting it all figured out for all the homesteaders. But we'll need to start getting these in, or they're going to be. They got all the bows almost built for us already. That's the problem. Those guys are too good. So go ahead and start doing that right here. Come to 40. Like I said, I stand that thing up right next to me there. I started putting my level on upside down. I want it with the bubbles up, much easier to see. I always want one of these with the string, one of them perpendicular. I know you guys already know everything you need, but I'll just show you one more. Because I'll show you just like bubbles down there is easier. I'm looking through those bubbles when they're spot on. And you guys may or may not know, like when that bubble's off, you got to push it toward the bubble to bring it back. And I'd say that's pretty good in both directions. I could steer it from there for sure. I see that I'm really, to get it perfect, I'm going to steer it both those directions. A little bigger on the 40, a tiny bit further away on the string, and that is I'm going to call that a perfect post. So there's a reference if you.
So then you just pull the cap off and
Yep.
the level.
And move right down that line.
Watch out, Jacob. That's one way to do it. Coming through the middle, watch your heads. Jason, watch out.
Walk up the boat with your hands, and then that's gonna drive.
Don't hit me.
Do that, I take video.
Down there, a lot of that is your comfort level. Drag it so it's flat and it can flop out.
Why are we both straddle 4 or 5 people here?
Had to be cut on the outside of that hole, huh?
Shake it back and forth.
All it is, watch this. It's just a wiggle this direction, and it'll work its way in there.
It's going down.
Oh, we like them snug.
I was gonna say you've done it once or twice. You know the tricks. end wall going up. Cool thing about the end walls is the hinge pieces here. So you can get them all started, and then it stands right up. Pretty slick. Going up here. Then you got the purlins going up. It actually looks like a high tunnel already. Let me do a time check. Time check is 11:15. I don't think we started until probably close to 9, so we're maybe 2.5 hours in. We've got the is that the hip wire? I forget the term for that. Where the side walls will go in. Got some younger guys here working too. Got Jason hardly working.
As usual.
Younger guys over here carrying it along. And then the professional who knows what he's doing, making sure we don't mess this thing up.
Okay, now we need that other one.
It's really amazing
On the outside.
how quickly you go from having a flat piece of earth
Put it on there.
to something that looks like, wow, I could grow a lot of food in here.
I know, we show up and it's a little pile of steel, and
Yeah.
some people are like, "That's a hoop house."
Yeah, and then like literally we're what, under 2.5 hours, and we've got this far.
Well, it's because you got a great crew today, man.
We got a lot of people here. I got a lot of people who,
and people
I think
that
they like
learn
my,
quick.
I think they like my wife, so they're willing to put up with me and come help me out because they like my wife.
Where is she then?
She's inside with the baby.
Ah,
She's actually got to work today too, so.
I want to meet her at least.
Yeah, Jess, what is this called exactly?
Hip boards.
The hip boards, okay.
Yep.
And we attach the plastic coming from the top and then the roll down sides.
Plastic will go here with the quick lock, and then your side curtain going to be attached here with some wiggle wire.
Wiggle wire, cool.
Yep.
Very cool.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Can you lift this a little bit for me? While I push?
Longer. Like I said, bring that drill down. We'll get up there with you. Just especially where the two come together. There's one place I'll just push it through there.
You hear all the dirt go. Doo-doo-doo-doo. I love that hinge system. That is slick, man. Oh, for sure. Work smarter, not harder.
Let me know where they are and I'll hang them.
And what is this type of plastic? I know you got two different types of plastic,
Yeah,
or
we refer to this as woven poly.
okay,
So it's just kind of like a ripstop sort of thing.
okay.
So it's real tough for these areas that you're
It's gonna have the more motion.
around. Our regular greenhouse film is only up
Yeah.
here, and that's where we're putting 2 layers up and inflating it.
Yeah,
So some people will bring that poly all the way to the ground,
right.
and they'll attach it to their roll bars, and it's really hard to do that and get it straight because and there's no reason for it to be doubled in this area,
Right.
Because you're not going to inflate that
Yeah.
area. You could, but it's complicated and a lot of trade-offs to
Yeah.
do that. So this is really great. We get to put this on. It's super sturdy. We sew this pocket in the bottom, slide a bar in. It's dead straight.
Yeah,
And then it also, when we go to pull poly, and if you're trying to lock that poly in up here and get it straight, and you've got 6-8 feet of poly down here you're dealing with,
right.
it's a real pain. We're going to be able to just work with this piece of poly right up here,
Yeah,
roll this up ahead of time, and have the parts be attached to sitting right here. It's just
perfect.
a really nice
Yeah,
system.
works out well.
Sorry, turn around and go right down. Walk away from the house.
We got Jacob up in the middle here. We got 5 guys on ropes over here.
Another 4 inches, please. We're getting there, another inch. Okay, right there, right there, right there. So everybody's even up the same as Keith now. Okay, you guys.
Yep.
You can see on camera.
Okay.
Jeff, would you help me out for a second? Right. Bring it back in here. We've got a little breeze under it now, so we're just gonna run away down. You're gonna try to get right here, right on that, and you're up on that ladder now.
John,
John,
you're on the ladder.
Both layers the same. Look at this half inch difference. We're gonna guarantee them right there. Okay, I need a lot of pull, bottom layer especially.
You guys bored out of your minds yet? Yeah. He said, so he's been on jobs where the people over here stop holding on, they figure they're done, and the whole thing just goes right back over the top and over his head. He said he had one job where it happened twice. So like they got the ropes out, they pulled it back over a second time, and it went over the top again because they just stopped holding on. Yeah, so don't let go.
I didn't tell you that part, John, about how you can rest in between it. Like right now is when I'm ready to do the bars. Especially that bottom layer. Right now, everybody help John out. That bottom layer going over John. Oh yeah, come on. We want it pretty for Jeff. So, first thing you can do is get you putting up some bots.
So Jess, you're putting in the eye bolts for the wind ropes.
Yep.
Okay. So how far in do they go down?
This is like my little guide.
Okay.
See the baseboard correctly.
Okay.
So they all are even.
Yeah, got it. And then every 8 feet, 12 feet.
I do every 2 bows.
Okay.
That's where there's a dip board.
Okay. Got it.
An eye bolt goes.
Okay.
And where a baseboard joint of plate goes and where the foot goes.
Okay, cool.
Whatever feet that is.
Yeah.
That door right in there. Just make sure you don't poke that top up into the plow again. Yep, stick it down until you get inside that frame. You gotta get your fingers on it. You'll hook a toe under it probably.
Get back up here. I think I see that angle anymore.
He's in that frame.